Life is full of conflicts in our families, neighborhoods, churches, organizations, between tribes and nations. We have many conflicts. And I can imagine that each of us is part of a conflict right now. Or maybe we're witnessing a conflict. Or perhaps you're trying to resolve a conflict. It's almost as if conflicts are the air we breathe. And just as there are many kinds of conflicts within a culture, there are many types of conflicts in cross cultural situations. The variations are endless in our multicultural relationships and international teams. And to add to this mayhem of conflicts, there are so many different approaches to handling conflicts, exemplified by the many helpful resources on conflict resolution on many different levels. So here's some general comments. Where should we start? How do different cultures handle conflicts within their cultures? And then how do we handle conflicts across cultures? So take, for example, a guy who comes from an individualist culture and he works in an African setting. And by how he talks, he causes offense to local colleagues because he seems to be so brash and rude. And so they won't talk with him anymore. Or, from another example, an Asian leader in a multicultural organization struggles with the expectations to be more upfront and direct. And so this person is accused of hiding matters in the team or favoring some team members. I would say, as much as possible, if two team members from the same culture experience a conflict, it is best if someone from that culture helps to solve the conflict. But I found that a Western supervisor too quickly wants a black and white, right, wrong, or win-loss approach. And what happens? The conflict gets worse. However, on the other hand, someone from a communal culture doesn't want to rock the boat, that is, raise the issues, as it could make it worse. And so that person ignores the conflict. And what happens? It actually gets worse. If the conflict is between two different cultures, we need to listen as much as possible to learn from the other side. One key point in learning to appreciate one another's cultures is not that we set aside our cultural perspective on how to solve or resolve conflicts, but that we become more intentional in seeing the other side. And then a further need is to have a safe place and safe people around you when addressing conflict. Come together in an agreed upon space that is not threatening. In honor-shame cultures, this will include a safe person, usually an elderly person of peace who carries respect from both sides of the conflict. In a general sense, the various cultural dimensions that we have looked at in our modules will affect how we handle conflicts in our cultures and across cultures. So communal cultures who believe in relational and more indirect communication and communal responsibility, they will seek to be less confrontational and find indirect ways to solve conflicts, maybe sometimes even sidestepping them. People from individualist cultures who believe in direct confrontation and personal responsibility, they will usually favor direct approaches to handling conflicts. Now, these two sketches that you see explain the difference. What do you think? Should we face conflict head on, or should we negotiate one's way around it, not necessarily by avoiding it or denying it, but by approaching the conflict from different angles in order not to mess up the situation even more? So in this module, I will discuss a few so-called standard ways of conflict resolution, which primarily come from individualist perspectives. And then I will offer some critiques and suggest how both individualist and communally oriented persons could respond to these standard ways better in cross-cultural situations. Then in the second part of this module, I will present some other ways, which from a Western or individualist perspective may be seen as non-conventional, maybe even tricky, but from the communal or global South perspective, they are common and normal. I have really appreciated Dwayne Elmer's book, Cross-Cultural Conflict, Building Relationships for Effective Ministry. He summarizes standard approaches for handling conflict resolution, and then he suggests alternate approaches from his broad experience in global South cultures. I encourage you to walk through this book. So take some time to look through this activity. Which approach do you think is the better approach?